7 Texting Secrets Women Can't Resist, Stoicism, Old Stoic Wisdom. Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation. Osho. Are you frustrated with texts that get ignored or end with nothing more than a one-word reply? You may be approaching it all wrong. Texting is not just about the message you send. It's about the impression you leave. It's about power, presence, and creating a sense of intrigue that keeps her thinking about you long after the conversation ends. What if I told you that ancient Stoic wisdom could transform the way you text? Imagine texting with unshakable calm, laser-focused clarity, and a confidence that makes it nearly impossible for her to resist responding. In the next few moments, I'm going to share 7 texting strategies that will completely shift the way women interact with you. And no, this isn't about using clever tricks or manipulative lines. It's about applying the timeless, unshakable principles of Stoicism to enhance your texting game. Ready to gain control and captivate her? Let's get started. Secret 1. Be calm, be unpredictable. The first secret to captivating texting is simple yet powerful. Don't fall into the trap of being predictable. This is where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism can be surprisingly helpful. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. In the context of texting, this means you have complete control over how and when you respond, so take full advantage of it. Avoid falling into the monotonous rhythm of texting the same phrases day in and day out. For example, rather than sending the tired, "How was your day?" every single time, try introducing a bit of intrigue into the conversation with something like, "I had a strange thought about you today, but I'll tell you later." By withholding a little bit of information, you create a sense of mystery. Women are naturally drawn to mystery. It piques their curiosity, stimulates their imagination, and, most importantly, makes them eager to keep the conversation flowing. When you don't immediately offer all the answers, you invite them to be a part of the unfolding story, which is far more engaging than simply recounting the mundane details of your day. The art of being unpredictable is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoic mindset is one of calm control, choosing to react thoughtfully instead of letting emotions dictate your actions. By applying this to texting, you don't allow yourself to become reactive or overly eager. You manage your responses with purpose, waiting for the right moment to engage without overloading the other person with information or expectations. This unpredictability, paired with a calm and controlled approach, creates an aura of mystery that keeps people guessing. Women enjoy being in the presence of someone who isn't easily predictable, someone who doesn't lay all his cards on the table too quickly. This subtle approach draws them in, not by force, but by the intrigue of wondering what you might do or say next. To further enhance this, it's essential to recognize that the Stoic practice of letting go of what you cannot control applies to texting as well. If you find yourself getting anxious about a delayed response or overthinking the exact wording of your messages, remember that those are things beyond your control. Instead, focus on crafting a message that reflects your true self, delivered with a calm confidence. This will resonate with the recipient more than any overly rehearsed line ever could. The beauty of unpredictability is that it gives you room to express yourself freely without the constraints of expectation. It also reflects your ability to remain composed in the face of uncertainty, an attractive trait in both romantic and professional relationships. In today's fast-paced digital world, where constant communication often leads to oversharing and exhaustion, the power of withholding information and creating suspense is a rare and effective tool. Imagine you're texting someone you're interested in, and you simply say, "I had a random thought about you today," and then leave it at that. The ambiguity of the message is sure to make them wonder what it was, causing them to think about you in a way that wasn't possible with a more mundane text. It creates space for them to engage with you mentally, giving them a reason to reach out and find out more. This strategy makes them feel like there's more to discover, and it allows the conversation to unfold naturally, without pressure. What's important to remember is that this approach isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate someone. It's about embodying the Stoic virtue of self-control and recognizing that part of attraction is mystery, being someone who doesn't feel the need to lay everything out immediately. It's about creating an environment where both parties can feel comfortable taking things at their own pace. By controlling your responses and being unpredictable, you maintain a sense of autonomy and confidence, which is incredibly magnetic. In modern life, where we often feel the pressure to respond quickly and constantly, it's refreshing to take a step back and embrace the power of unpredictability. Rather than being driven by the need for instant gratification, you give yourself and the other person space to think, reflect, and engage in a more meaningful way. By remaining calm, unpredictable, and in control of your responses, you mirror the Stoic philosophy of equanimity, showing that you're not just emotionally available, but also composed and capable of navigating the complexities of life and relationships with grace. This subtle yet powerful approach not only helps you stand out in the crowded digital landscape, but also fosters deeper, more genuine connections with those you interact with. Secret 2. Lead with strength, not emotions. In the practice of Stoicism, emotions are not considered intrinsic actions, but rather reactions to external events that, if left unchecked, can steer us away from rational thinking and purposeful action. This Stoic principle holds valuable lessons, especially in the modern world of texting and digital communication, where emotions can easily become magnified or misinterpreted. The key to mastering the art of communication lies in leading with strength, not allowing emotions to take the lead. In the context of texting, it's tempting to immediately reach for your phone when a wave of longing or sentimentality hits, sending a message like, "I miss you," without considering the impact it might have. While it's a natural human instinct to express emotions when you feel them, Stoic wisdom teaches us to temper these impulses with a sense of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Instead of resorting to a quick, reactive message that might seem needy or overly dependent on emotional validation, you can turn that feeling into something more thoughtful, more intentional. For instance, rather than simply saying, "I miss you," try sending a message like, "I walked by that little cafe we used to go to, and it made me think about how much I value our time together." This approach does more than just convey your feelings. It reflects a sense of depth, of thoughtfulness and emotional maturity that is far more compelling. What makes this shift so powerful is that you're not allowing your emotions to control the situation. Instead, you're taking charge of your feelings and communicating in a way that is not reactionary but deliberate. In a world that's often driven by quick impulses, where instant messages are sent without second thought, this kind of steady, controlled response is incredibly magnetic. People are drawn to those who can maintain their composure and take the time to reflect before speaking or acting. It's a rare quality, one that signals emotional strength and self-control, both of which are highly attractive. By resisting the urge to text in a way that reflects momentary emotions, you build a sense of mystery and strength. You become someone who isn't swayed by the highs and lows of fleeting emotions, but rather someone who remains grounded and centered. This emotional stability isn't just about holding back or suppressing your feelings. It's about expressing them in a way that is measured, thoughtful, and purposeful. In the context of relationships, this approach has the potential to set you apart. When you lead with strength rather than emotion, you convey that you are a person who values connection, but also understands that relationships, especially deep ones, require more than just a series of emotional responses. They require substance, balance, and consistency. People crave stability, and in the modern age, where fast, impulsive actions often dominate our interactions, providing that stability can make you stand out. In a relationship, being someone who does not bend to every emotional whim, who does not rush to send a message at the first sign of vulnerability, communicates that you are someone who can be trusted not to act rashly. This creates an environment of safety and security where both parties feel comfortable knowing that decisions, whether emotional or practical, are made with careful thought and reflection. It's this consistency and reliability that make you more attractive, as you exhibit a grounded sense of self that is rare and highly valued. Moreover, emotional intelligence in texting also speaks to the fact that actions speak louder than words. By being deliberate in your communication, you're showing that you care about the other person's time and energy. You're not bombarding them with texts that might seem desperate or overly needy. Instead, you're providing them with a sense of space and time, creating a dynamic that is less about immediate gratification and more about a long-term connection that grows steadily. This approach helps prevent oversaturation in a relationship, which is something many people overlook in the early stages of texting. Constant, unfiltered emotional messaging can overwhelm the other person, making the relationship feel more like an obligation rather than a choice. By carefully choosing when and how to express your feelings, you ensure that your communication is not just about you, but about creating a balanced, harmonious exchange that both people can appreciate. In today's world, where the pressures of instant communication often lead to snap judgments, emotional control in texting stands as a reminder that strength is not about being unfeeling, but about being steady in the face of emotional impulses. It's about knowing when to express your feelings and when to give space. When you lead with strength instead of raw emotion, you make a statement not just with your words, but with your actions. You become the kind of person others look to for support, guidance, and emotional stability because you demonstrate the rare and valuable skill of managing emotions, not letting them dictate your behavior. As a result, you become magnetic not because of how much you share, but because of how wisely and thoughtfully you choose to communicate. This approach not only helps build stronger relationships, but it also empowers you to maintain a sense of self and balance, even in the midst of emotional turbulence. And if you agree with this, drop a comment right now. I lead with strength, not emotion. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remember, true power lies in the control of your own reactions. Secret 3. The power of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated and misunderstood tools in communication. But make no mistake, it's powerful. It's a force that, when wielded properly, commands respect and intrigue. Silence isn't about ignoring her or playing games. It's about creating space, a deliberate space that allows mystery to breathe and curiosity to grow. This, my friend, is where the real power lies. You see, the Stoics knew it well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." In the same way, the things you don't say, the silence you master, can shape how she perceives you and your relationship. In a world where instant communication is a norm, silence stands as a rarity, and rarity, my friend, is what grabs attention. Now, let's talk about why silence works so powerfully. Imagine this. You stop texting her constantly. You create space in the conversation, and in that space, she begins to wonder, to reflect, to think about you in ways she wouldn't if you were always available. It isn't about playing games. It's about flipping the script. When you constantly reply immediately to every text, you may think you're showing attention and care, but you're also signaling one thing: you're too available. The conversation starts to feel routine, mechanical, as if it's just something that needs to be done. There's no mystery, no chase, and without that, the emotional spark fades. But when you hold back just a little, when you pause before responding, the dynamics shift. The silence triggers something deeper. She starts wondering why you haven't responded. What's he doing? Why hasn't he replied? Curiosity stirs. It's a subtle psychological pull that starts working in your favor. The longer you wait, the more the curiosity grows. You've allowed her mind to wander into the space you've intentionally left vacant. And in that space, something magical happens. She feels the urge to fill the void. She starts feeling compelled to reach out to you, to continue the conversation, to re-establish that connection. This isn't manipulation. It's simply the power of human psychology. The Stoics taught us about the art of restraint and patience, something they called apatheia, or the ability to maintain inner calm despite external chaos. When you take this into your communication strategy, you're not just sitting idly in silence, you are choosing to control your actions, your responses, and your words. This disciplined silence creates a magnetic effect. She begins to chase you, not because you're playing hard to get, but because the lack of constant availability forces her to invest emotionally, mentally, and even physically in the conversation. She becomes the one pursuing, wondering, speculating, and ultimately wanting more. Think of it this way. You are the calm in the storm, the quiet force that stands tall and unshaken. You're not desperate for her attention, and that, ironically, is what makes you so attractive. It's a power play, a masterstroke in communication, where silence speaks volumes. The great philosopher Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." By limiting your need to constantly communicate, you are practicing true control. You are not desperate for her validation. Instead, you're presenting yourself as a man who can stand strong in his own space, a man who knows that sometimes the best way to keep someone's attention is to let them wonder. You'll see the shift quickly. The moment you withhold a reply, even for a few hours, she begins to wonder if she's lost your interest. This curiosity drives her to reconnect, to text you again, and to get that confirmation she craves. That's the power of silence. The more you hold back, the more she'll feel the need to bridge the gap. And when she does reach out, it gives you the perfect opportunity to reinforce your value. When you reply, you do it on your terms, not on the clock, and certainly not because you're anxious. You're in control. You're not just a man who reacts to texts. You're a man who sets the tone, who doesn't chase, but lets others come to him. Modern life moves fast. Texting has become a default, an instant way to stay in touch. But it's also led to a paradox where too much communication can dilute its power. Silence, however, allows you to stand out. It forces people, especially women, to pause, reflect, and reevaluate what they truly want. And in a world where everything is so easily accessible, this small act of restraint can become your secret weapon. It's not about playing games. It's about positioning yourself as someone who is not at the mercy of the moment, but someone who can shape it. If you're ready to master this art, to make silence your ally, then start small. Don't rush to reply right away. Let her feel the power of space in the conversation. Use it wisely, watch as the curiosity grows, and with it, your influence. Remember, the greatest masters of communication are those who know when to speak, and even more importantly, when to stay silent. So take this lesson to heart and start wielding silence like the powerful tool it is. Silence isn't a void. It's a space filled with possibility. A space where you have the control, and in control, you hold the keys to attraction. Secret 4. The art of detachment. The art of detachment is one of the most transformative principles you can bring into your texting habits, especially when it comes to connecting with women. It may initially seem counterintuitive, considering how texting is often seen as a fast-paced, almost immediate form of communication. We're conditioned to believe that quick responses and constant engagement are the norms, and in this rush to reply instantly, we often forget the power that lies in letting go. This is where the Stoic principle of detachment truly shines. At its essence, detachment doesn't mean being cold or distant, nor does it imply a lack of care for the conversation or the person you're communicating with. Rather, it's about relinquishing the need to control the outcome, the expectations, and the endless cycle of overthinking. When it comes to texting, many men fall into a mental trap, stressing over the perfect response, obsessing over the timing of their reply, or becoming paralyzed by the fear of saying something wrong. But here's the reality. This type of pressure, these constant worries about how to manage every little detail of the interaction, turn what should be a casual, enjoyable exchange into a mentally exhausting task. It's like trying to steer a ship in a stormy sea, exhausting and pointless. Detachment, however, offers a safe harbour. Once you understand and embrace this concept, you free yourself from the stress and frustration of predicting every little outcome. Imagine this. You send a message, and instead of sitting there glued to your phone, wondering if she'll reply quickly enough or what her exact words mean, you just let go. You let the message go out into the world, and you move on with your day. You've done your part, expressed your thoughts, and now you trust the process. This doesn't mean you're indifferent. It means you're secure in the knowledge that how she responds, or whether she responds at all, is not a reflection of your worth. It's a process of mental liberation. This kind of mindset shift doesn't just apply to texting. It's a life strategy rooted deeply in Stoicism that helps you approach all areas of life with a sense of calm and focus, undistracted by the chaos of outcomes you can't control. In relationships, particularly with women, this energy of non-attachment often creates an aura of intrigue and respect. Women can sense when you're relaxed, when you're not overly invested in controlling every moment. And this paradox of caring without clinging tends to draw them in. You're not chasing validation. You're simply enjoying the conversation for what it is. And in a world where so many are caught in the trap of waiting for the next buzz of their phone, practicing detachment not only saves your energy, but allows for deeper, more meaningful connections. It's about making texting fun and light-hearted again, rather than a source of stress. And so, by practicing this simple yet profound art of detachment, you set yourself free. You stop the cycle of mental gymnastics and start enjoying texting, and by extension, your relationships, on your own terms. And in the process, you not only improve your communication with others, but also cultivate an inner peace that will serve you well in all aspects of life. You've just learned the power of detachment, a game-changing principle that transforms your texting habits and your mindset. Let go of the stress, the overthinking, and the fear of outcomes, and embrace a life of calm and control. It's time to stop obsessing over every little detail and start enjoying the process. If you're ready to free yourself from mental clutter and approach texting and life with a sense of calm, comment below. I choose peace over pressure. Secret 5. Allow her the space to come to you. At first glance, this idea might seem to defy the conventional wisdom of instant gratification we are accustomed to in today's fast-paced, always-on communication culture. In a world where everyone expects a quick reply, waiting for a response can feel agonizing. The urge to immediately respond or double text in an attempt to reignite the conversation can be overwhelming, especially when you're emotionally invested. However, the principle of giving her space is not just about playing hard to get or creating artificial tension. It's a timeless strategy rooted deeply in Stoic philosophy. It is about cultivating patience, calmness, and an understanding of your own emotional responses. The core message here is detachment from the outcome. Don't let the need for validation or immediate replies shape your actions. In the context of texting, this approach shifts the dynamic from a situation where you're constantly seeking her attention to one where she feels the natural desire to engage with you on her own terms. By allowing her space, you're demonstrating confidence and self-control, qualities that are highly attractive and valued in both romantic and personal relationships. The essence of Stoic wisdom is the ability to detach yourself from external circumstances and instead focus on what you can control, such as your own actions and reactions. In the case of texting, this means not allowing the delay of response to govern your emotional state or cause you to act impulsively. It's easy to slip into the trap of desperation when she doesn't reply quickly, especially if you're eager for her attention. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in maintaining emotional composure, irrespective of external events. When you give her space to come to you, you're not passively waiting for something to happen, but actively choosing to remain composed and grounded in your own sense of self-worth. Instead of anxiously checking your phone every few minutes or sending multiple messages in quick succession, you practice the art of restraint. This restraint, however, is not about creating unnecessary distance or indifference. It's about valuing your own peace and emotional balance above the need for immediate validation. By maintaining this calm, you signal to her that you're not chasing her approval, but rather, you're focused on building a genuine connection based on mutual interest and respect. Furthermore, this Stoic approach helps you avoid making the mistake of seeming too eager or desperate, which can often be off-putting. When you let her come to you, you're not relying on constant communication to affirm your value. Instead, you trust that your actions, words, and the overall quality of your interaction will naturally inspire her to reach out. This mindset not only fosters greater self-respect, but also encourages the creation of a more balanced, healthier relationship dynamic, where both parties are equally engaged. In our modern world, where the pressure to be constantly available can sometimes feel overwhelming, Stoicism offers a counterbalance. It reminds us that true emotional resilience comes from the ability to remain unaffected by the rapid pace of modern life and technology. By embracing this mindset, you're not just improving the quality of your interactions with women, but you're also fostering a deeper connection with yourself. You're learning to respond from a place of inner strength rather than reacting out of insecurity or neediness. Ultimately, this not only makes you more attractive, but more emotionally grounded as a person. So next time you're waiting for a reply, remember that the space you give her is not a void, but rather an opportunity for both of you to reflect, grow, and return to the conversation with more clarity and purpose. It's a strategy rooted in emotional intelligence and the wisdom of Stoic thought, one that places value on quality communication over quantity and fosters the kind of relationship that is built on mutual respect and understanding. In today's fast-paced world, sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to simply give her the space to come to you. And if you find today's content very interesting, please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comment section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. Secret 6. Make her work for your attention. In a world that glorifies instant gratification, the Stoic way stands in stark contrast, reminding us that true power lies in restraint, patience, and control. The principle is simple yet profound. Don't chase. Allow the world to chase you. This truth, when applied to relationships and texting, shifts the dynamic entirely. How often have you found yourself obsessively checking your phone, anxiously crafting lengthy messages to keep the conversation flowing, or worse, desperately trying to impress her with your words? It's natural to want immediate engagement, to be present and available, but in doing so, you lose the edge, the power of control. The Stoic path, however, teaches us a different approach. It's not about playing games for the sake of it, but about embodying strength through absence. By not being always available, you allow her to feel the weight of your absence, the tension of waiting. This is where power resides, not in constantly texting, but in creating space that sparks curiosity. Why does this work? Because, at the core, people crave a challenge. It's embedded in human nature, especially in women. When something is too easy, when it's handed to them too soon, it loses its allure. Predictability breeds boredom, while mystery and anticipation fuel desire. Think about it. When you don't give away everything, when you hold back a little, whether it's a thought, a plan, or a piece of yourself, it creates an intoxicating effect. It makes her wonder what you're thinking. It makes her yearn to know more. This is where intrigue blossoms, where the excitement of not knowing what comes next pulls her deeper into the connection. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about playing hard to forget. You're not simply withholding information. You're building anticipation, creating a space where she starts to invest emotionally, to chase, to yearn for the next piece of the puzzle. As Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." By mastering the art of restraint, you allow yourself to become the master of the interaction. Texting becomes a dance, one where you set the rhythm, dictate the pace, and decide the moment of engagement. It's not about being distant or cold. It's about being purposeful in your actions and inaction. You decide when to engage, when to pause, and when to let the tension linger. In today's world, where people are constantly bombarded with information and distractions, making someone work for your attention isn't just effective, it's almost essential. The constant flow of digital communication has made everything feel instant and disposable. People are so used to quick replies that when someone doesn't immediately respond, it creates an unspoken excitement. Will they text back? What are they doing? What's going on in their mind? That's the kind of energy you want to harness. The greatest victories come not from constant pursuit, but from knowing when to step back and let others come to you. As you apply this Stoic principle to your texting interactions, remember that it's not about being manipulative. It's about understanding human psychology and using it to your advantage. Women, just like everyone else, want to feel a sense of challenge, to feel as though they've earned something valuable. If you hand them everything on a silver platter, it devalues the connection. But when you make her work for it, you're giving her something worth pursuing. And, in doing so, you're asserting your own value, your own sense of self-worth. So next time you're texting, don't rush to fill the silence. Leave space. Let the conversation breathe. Don't be afraid to let her wonder what's going through your mind. Let her feel the anticipation. Don't make it easy. Make her work for your attention. And in doing so, you will have her more invested, more curious, and ultimately more drawn to you. This is how you build real power in relationships. This is how you command attention. And remember, the best revenge is massive success. When you master the art of making her work for your attention, you don't just get her attention, you get her respect, her intrigue, and her desire. Secret 7. Stay grounded, stay focused. In the world of texting, staying grounded and focused is the most powerful secret of all, and it's a mindset that stretches well beyond just how you communicate through messages. This principle, when applied to texting, is all about retaining your emotional balance and sense of self. It's about remaining true to your values, staying emotionally steady, and not letting the digital exchange overtake your state of mind or your sense of worth. When you text with a grounded mindset, you're not at the mercy of how quickly or frequently someone responds to you. Instead, you preserve your identity, knowing that your value isn't tied to the speed of someone's reply or the nature of their response. In today's world, where instant gratification is more common than ever, it's easy to fall into the trap of obsessively checking your phone, waiting for that validation to appear in the form of a message. When you don't receive an immediate response, it's common to feel deflated or anxious, questioning whether the person is interested or if they like you as much as you like them. But when you are grounded, you can shift your perspective. You begin to realize that your self-worth isn't dependent on how others react to your texts. This idea ties back to an age-old Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the importance of being resilient in the face of external events. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When it comes to texting, what you can control is your own mindset and how you respond to the interaction. You cannot control how fast or how much someone texts you, but you can control how you approach it emotionally and mentally. This is where your personal strength lies, in your ability to remain steady, no matter what the exchange looks like. Moreover, staying grounded in your texting habits also means not allowing the conversation to drag you into unnecessary emotional highs and lows. It's easy to become emotionally reactive to messages, especially when you feel strongly about the person you're communicating with. However, this approach rarely leads to the outcomes we hope for. When you base your emotional state on the ebb and flow of a conversation, you surrender your power. And when you do that, it's easy to find yourself in a cycle of stress, waiting for the next message to either boost your mood or, worse, leave you feeling drained. In contrast, when you focus on keeping your emotional stability intact, you free yourself from that cycle and enjoy the interaction for what it is without overthinking or overreacting. The key to mastering this is in recognizing that the power of your identity doesn't come from external validation, but from an internal place of calm and confidence. Instead of waiting for someone to define you through their responses, focus on defining yourself first. If you can do this, you'll find that texting becomes less about seeking approval and more about genuinely connecting with another person from a place of strength and authenticity. Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus also teach us that we should not look to others to validate our existence. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This powerful sentiment applies to your texting life as well. When you keep your reaction based on your values and emotional steadiness, you are in a far more powerful position than when you react impulsively to the message, tone, or timing of others. It's also important to remember that modern life is filled with distractions, and these distractions, like checking your phone every few minutes, are only feeding into a constant loop of anxiety. By staying grounded, you learn to rise above these temptations and practice patience. You remind yourself that your life and your worth extend far beyond the tiny screen in your pocket. Embrace the sense of peace, and you'll find that not only will your texting habits improve, but you will also navigate the ups and downs of life with greater resilience. In practical terms, being grounded in texting can mean setting boundaries with your phone use, perhaps setting aside specific times to check messages instead of compulsively looking every few minutes. It can also mean taking a deep breath before responding to a message that might provoke an emotional reaction, giving yourself time to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. And above all, it means embracing the understanding that your peace of mind doesn't come from someone else's attention, but from your ability to remain centered and calm in the face of uncertainty. This kind of emotional mastery is not just a secret for effective texting. It's a life skill that leads to better relationships, more self-confidence, and a deeper sense of inner strength. Hey there, thanks so much for sticking with me until the end. I hope you found these 7 texting secrets valuable and insightful. So there you have it. These are the 7 texting secrets that will make women crave your messages. And the best part? You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. Just apply the Stoic mindset. Stay calm, be mysterious, and maintain your inner peace. When you're in control of your emotions and reactions, you instantly stand out as someone who is both confident and emotionally intelligent. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real and consistent in your approach. I know it's easy to get caught up in the pressure of trying to impress, especially in the world of texting. But remember, the most attractive quality you can have is the ability to remain grounded and authentic. The Stoic mindset isn't just a tool for texting. It's a mindset that will improve every area of your life. Whether you're navigating relationships, work challenges, or personal growth, this philosophy helps you focus on what truly matters, which is your own peace of mind and emotional control. If you want to go deeper into Stoicism and explore how its timeless wisdom can positively impact not only your texting game, but your overall life, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. I've got a lot more content coming your way that can help you unlock your full potential and live a more intentional life. And here's one last piece of advice. In both life and texting, it's not about how quickly you react, but how thoughtfully you respond. The true strength lies in being mindful, staying present and taking control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. So, when you're texting, remember to keep that calm, mysterious energy and never feel the need to rush or overthink. So, until next time, stay strong, stay calm, and always stay in control. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.